Yeah, we're skipping that. You know what I love to hear in the background when people are talking? That's right, rock music. Nothing like some soothing, calming, subtle guitar riffs going on in the back while you're trying to convey a point.
Hey, what's up everybody? Crapgamer here with Crapgamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you all very much for taking time out to check out one of my videos. I really appreciate it. Go ahead and give this video a thumbing and or liking, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet done so. I would really appreciate it.
Now, I will speak to this on behalf of Crapgamer. He does have the presence of mind to give himself the most appropriately named YouTube channel that exists on the site.
I want to jump right into today's topic, so hopefully you guys are ready to hear me talk a little bit about ReCore.
And by ready, I mean make sure you have alcohol handy and or narcotics.
Newest exclusive released by Microsoft, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it, because it seems like some of the reviewers haven't really been enjoying it.
Oh, be still my heart.
Thus far, and that's a little bit disappointing to see, especially when you look at some of the critiques of the game.
Especially when those critiques tend to be consistent across the board.
Right now, sitting at a mid-60s Metacritic score with a lot of mixed bags, a few negative ones.
Maybe it was in the middle 60s when you said it. However, you are Crapgamer, and your relationship with the representation of numeric values is historically rather atrocious in the integrity department. What I'm trying to say is that you're a liar when it comes to numbers. It is currently at 62 out of 100 based on over 40 critic reviews, which is not great, it's not bad, it's hovering around the middle. It's so-so, it's okay, it's decent at best.
You know, shout out to some of the ones that I actually liked, as far as you read through it and they give you really the good and the bad of the both, right?
However, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that none of the reviews that you liked gave this review anything that was less than a stellar final verdict.
So far, they're complaining that there's some technical issues with, as far as the frame rate at times, or the loading, and maybe the difficulty level, right? Now,
well, technical issues in terms of excessively long loading times. I mean, dear God, after the day one patch, there were still reports of 2-minute long loading times. That's a big issue. If I was making a review and a game had a 2-minute long loading time potential, I would be doing a disservice to my readers if I did not tell them about this issue. I think it would be also borderline dishonest if, even if I didn't experience it, I wouldn't bring it up that it had been a recurring problem elsewhere as well. And this is an Xbox. You guys can't afford frame drops. You can't afford to lose any more frames than the few you already have. That sounds like a big deal. Difficulty problems and balance issues are also important. These all seem like legitimate complaints for any video game.
keep in mind that these are three things that plagued a game called Bloodborne on the PS4.
Holy fuck, you're bringing in Bloodborne? Like, yeah, we're talking about reviews for ReCore, but hey, let's bring up fucking Bloodborne in Sony products. I mean, I guess we're just gonna bring up Bloodborne, the universally, basically adored PlayStation exclusive that I would like to play. I'm just not gonna buy a PlayStation 4 just to get access to one game. That's ridiculous. I have enough on my plate already. I'm a PC gamer. There are more games than I'll ever be able to play.
You know, like a year ago, and nobody docked that any points for it. That game still scored, what, like a 93 Metacritic or something? But yet, ReCore gets docked unbelievably by everybody.
Well, have we ever considered the wild concept that Sony's exclusive Bloodborne was just a better fucking game? Have we even considered the thought that Sony had an exclusive, and it was better than ReCore? Have we considered this? Has this thought ever entered into your mostly hollow skull? Did you ever stop to think, maybe the reason why this game got better review scores was because it was a better game overall? And while we're at it, you don't seem to be understanding that technical issues, balance issues, loading time issues, these are all problems that exist on a spectrum. Sure, two different games can have long loading times. One could be 30 seconds, one could be 2 minutes. Sure, two games could have graphical glitches. One could be, maybe an item decal isn't showing up. The other is, I can't see the floor now, or the enemies are invisible. These issues are in a spectrum. There could be a slight difficulty imbalance in the game, or there could be a colossal difficulty imbalance in a game. It's on a spectrum. But even if what you said was true here, that these games had the exact same problems, would it not owe it then to Bloodborne and the rest of the content in that game to be so great that it powered through those problems to have the review it got?
For these issues, which could be actually fixed with a patch.
But here's the thing. Fixed with a patch? Okay, but as of the time you did this video, you haven't even played the game yet. You have not yet played this game, Crap. You have not played the game. You have not experienced these patches. You are speaking in hypotheticals, which, from what I'm reading, in a lot of cases, have not yet occurred. Could be fixed with a day one patch is one thing, but actually being fixed with that patch, that hypothetical patch, is another. I mean, well, look at the article I showed a moment ago. ReCore 2-minute-long loading times not improving thanks to day one patch.
Which could be actually fixed with a patch relatively quickly, day one patch. I'm not sure if reviewers have access to a patch or anything like that. But
and a reviewer should not have to rely on a potential day one patch before they make their review. These things can always be edited or updated in reviews later on anyway. Preparation is one thing, but planning in a review that consumers read for a potential patch that may or may not even occur would be, again, disingenuous to the review score of what you actually played. If someone made a review for DayZ right now, for instance, they wouldn't say, well, yeah, the game's garbage right now, but it's supposed to be great later on, so I'm going to give it a 95 out of 100. You understand that's disingenuous. Do you know what that word is? Is that too big of a word for you? Dishonest. That's actually still a bigger word. Lying.
But, you know, mid-60s, new IP, I don't know. It seems like it's one of those games where people are going to have to try and see for itself what they think.
Well, that's what the people did, Crap. That's what the people did here. The critics got the game, it was a new IP, and they said, this is about a 62 out of 100. And even now, 233 ratings, user score is practically identical. Yes, it is Metacritic, so take user score reviews with a grain of salt, but after 233 ratings and the fact that the user score is practically the exact score of the critics, I think that has something to say for itself here. The people have tried it, and the people have spoken, and they done spoke a 6.4.
I do think that, obviously, Microsoft didn't exactly advertise the game tremendously. But
oh, it's the advertising now. It's Microsoft's advertising. Never mind the fact that advertising has nothing to do with the review scores, unless it's just straight up lying to people. It just affects how many people actually get the game to put in review scores. Advertising has nothing to do with the fact it's 62 out of 100, unless they made false promises. Because it seems to me like every problem with ReCore right now it's nothing to do with the game itself. It's nothing to do with the game itself. It is the unfair bias between Sony exclusives and Microsoft exclusives. It is advertising. It is the fact that reviewers haven't played with the day one patch yet. It's everybody's fault except ReCore's.
But, you know, again, it's probably not a very costly IP for them to put out, and it's worth putting out a new IP just to kind of put feelers out there and see if it's a game that's going to stick.
Well, then maybe they should have done a better job. Don't you agree?
Eventually, Microsoft is hoping probably to find that next big IP they can go in their stable. Whether it be this game, it certainly wasn't Quantum Break, obviously, but...
Yeah, that was because of media bias, too. I mean, that's what Mooch said, and you wouldn't disagree with your boy, would you?
You know, maybe it's Scalebound, maybe it's Crackdown. You know, this next Crackdown is going to be very important to see how the future of that franchise sticks. Maybe it's Sea of Thieves. Who really knows? But I do know that you shouldn't be down or, you know, hold off on getting ReCore if you were excited about it, because at the end of the day, the media bias is always going to be there.
No. You should always be concerned with review scores, especially if they are fairly consistent on a lot of issues. If you were super, super excited about ReCore and you had the intelligence to not pre-order it, if this was the game I was stoked more for than anything else and it was a 62 out of 100, I would take that into consideration before I went to the store and bought it. And again, it's not a matter of media bias. That's ridiculous. It's possible to go to a single outlet and see media bias. It's possible to go to a single website and see media bias. There are pro Xbox and pro Sony, pro PC. There's all these places that are biased. But when we're looking at 40 places, 41 critic reviews, and it's 62 out of 100, are they all biased, or just one or two? And for every one or two that's biased one way, there's going to be one or two that are biased the other way. When everyone has the same issues and writes about and talks about, speaks about the same issues that they all experience, how is that media bias? Was the global praise of Bloodborne media bias? You say it is. Was the global praise of The Last of Us media bias? Because I understand you cannot accept this. You will not accept this. It is not even a thought in your head that you could possibly come to terms with the fact that maybe, so far this generation, PlayStation has better games.
The green box is going to definitely change people's minds about how they review it. They review games more harshly when it comes to Xbox as opposed to PlayStation, and those are just the facts.
You cannot substitute the word facts for your punctuation and expect that to constitute an argument. You are making the positive claim that there is real and actual bias, not just here and there, right? We're talking about the entire media, the games media, journalism, games journalism, whatever weight that term carries these days, is biased against Xbox, biased against Microsoft. And there is no substance to anything you have ever said that shows this could be a reality. No one is ever going to doubt that a site can be pro-Sony, pro-PlayStation, pro-Microsoft, pro-Xbox, pro-PC, pro-Nintendo, pro-this developer, pro-that developer. There is no doubt in anyone's mind that small segments, individual outlets, can be biased. But you are talking about the entirety of media.
I just gave you a perfect example. Go back and read any of the Bloodborne reviews for PS4, and I know these are different types of games.
Alright, then keep talking. We'll pretend that doesn't invalidate everything you're going to say next.
Bloodborne, praised for the toughness of the game. Bloodborne, it wasn't praised for the frame rate issues, but they brought up the frame rate issues, as well as the loading times, which were like something like 1.5, 2 minutes long, unbelievably long, but they didn't.
But again, it's all in a spectrum, isn't it? Everything that you mentioned is. So let's start at the back and work our way to the front here. Let's start with the loading times and we'll proceed from there. Polygon. As we wrote in our review, Bloodborne's other major technical concern is its load times. Should you die in Bloodborne or want to travel between locations via one of its lanterns, you're looking at a load time of 20 to 40 seconds, sometimes more. If you need to dip back into the game's safe haven, the hub known as Hunter's Dream, you may wind up seeing multiple loads back to back. Just like everybody who's lucky enough to share a bed with me. 20 to 40 seconds, let's compare that to 2 minutes. Let's cut the 2 minutes in half. Bloodborne still loads faster. Again, that's a long time to wait, but it's in a spectrum. And when the Bloodborne developers say, well, the primary reason for all this is because we're trying to load all the high-res textures, a lot of gamers will say, okay, I can understand. A lot of critics will be able to say, okay, the long loading times are there so that they can load in the graphical fidelity of the game. Now let's look at the difficulty between these two games. Oh, by the way, if I haven't disclosed it, I haven't played both of these games. I just researched the shit out of them. Then I slathered a little bit of common sense sauce on top of it and took a big bite. So, to difficulty, Games Radar, pros, well-voiced plot, Jewel is agile, fun to control, yeah. Cons, painfully long load times, there's that. Cheap enemies. And they also talk about the sudden spike in difficulty at the end game. Both of these two things, the cheap enemies and the difficulty spike, those are not good. Difficulty, again, it's like everything else. It's in a spectrum. But you can have a difficult game that is fair. Take a look at Dark Souls. Take a look at Doom. I'm playing Doom right now. Nightmare difficulty. It's really, really tough. But it's fair. I don't feel like I'm cheated. I'm not feeling like the game is unfair. I don't feel like I'm being punished for things I have no control over. You can have a difficult game that's difficult and legitimate and can be praised for its difficulty. A lot of people take pride in overcoming the challenge. When I beat it on Ultra Violence, I felt pretty good about myself. It had a couple tough parts in there. When I beat Dead Space, the first one, on the Xbox 360, I got all the achievements for it because I'm a boss at Dead Space. Felt really, really, really proud of myself. But when you have a game that is difficult because it's punishing, because there are, in effect, enemies, traps, obstacles in the game that you cannot in any way plan for, that you can't evade, that just come out of nowhere and hit you, things that you cannot see coming, things that hurt you and there's nothing you could have done about it. That is a different kind of technical difficulty, yes, but it is not going to be lauded in the reviews of that game. As for the FPS performance, all I can say is I just don't know how you console guys do it. Bloodborne has been analyzed by Digital Foundry, and according to the report, even with a 30 FPS cap, the game sometimes, quote, struggles to run at a smooth frame rate, end quote. Of course, implying that 30 was smooth to begin with, and it's not. 30 FPS is a dogshit frame rate. In any event, Digital Foundry did say the drops in Bloodborne's FPS were attributed to such a high level of detail and the staggering density of objects, which is why a 60 FPS target, quote, was always a stretch for the game, end quote. So, while I'm not excusing the fact that these are abysmal frame rates, and again, I don't know how you console guys do it, playing at 24 FPS on these, oh my god, I can't imagine. But to someone who plays on consoles reviewing a console game, this to me sounds like a decent justification attempt to say, yeah, the frame rates were low because the game looks really detailed. And yes, crap, try not to get triggered by the fact I'm using Digital Foundry for this information, even though, well, while the rest of the civilized world has probably accepted Digital Foundry as one of the most balanced and unbiased and one of the most technologically savvy channels on YouTube, well, I understand you haven't, because of course it's all a Sony media plot, and they didn't think that teraflops were everything all the time, because they know what they are, for starters. I could only find limited information on the FPS of ReCore on the Xbox One, though the reviews were somewhat telling. ArsTechnica.com in their review said, under the bad section, not sure why the game can't lock at 30 FPS on Xbox One, considering it's not a stunner in motion. Either way, to me, as a PC gamer, both of these games run like crap.
Deduct any points from the game. They're like, well, the game's still fun, even though it has this, this, and this. But on the ReCore side, they're like, well, ReCore, the loading times are bad, so I'm going to deduct points. Oh, there was a frame rate hiccup here, so I'm going to deduct points.
Well, crap, which reviews do you have a problem with? Which journalists and reviewers, which writers, who do you have a problem with? The articles from what sites? Can you link them in the description? Can you tell us where you actually have a problem with the things that they've said? Because you yourself admitted these games were not the same. They were not the same kind of game. So, does it not follow that these sites would not necessarily assign the same people to do those reviews? And as such, since they were not the same people, they would have different priorities and different opinions on how important things like technical issues and frame rate and graphical bugs could be. Once again, reminding you that all of these things exist on a spectrum. For instance, it was Brett Magadonsky who reviewed ReCore, and it was Chris Carter who reviewed Bloodborne. Different people. Jim Sterling of the Jimquisition, a pro-consumer video game journalist, and it's sad that video game journalist doesn't automatically imply pro-consumer these days, reviewed both ReCore and Bloodborne and gave them a 7 out of 10 and a 10 out of 10 respectively. Game over. Whatever. Jeremy Peoples gave it a 90%. And granted, for every 90 there was a 30, but it's not this imagined media bias against Microsoft products. That's ridiculous. It's just that the game was half-baked. It wasn't good. It had flaws with it that people were hung up on. What was great about the game didn't supersede all the problems it had like Bloodborne did.
You know, it's unbelievable how the media will kind of go back and forth and do that kind of thing, and I just think it's unfortunate. But at the end of the day, make up your own mind. For $40, you can't really go wrong. I think it's probably worth trying.
Yeah, of course it is, because it's a Microsoft exclusive. So, of course, Crapgamer, you're going to say, yeah, it's just $40, just buy it. Let me ask you this. Let's be real here. Let's be honest here. If this was a Sony exclusive on the PlayStation 4, and it got a 62 out of 100 from the review scores, would you tell people, it's probably worth $40, go ahead and buy it? Do you think you'd say that? We all know the answer. The answer is no, he would not.
Saying it's an average type game. $40 goes in with an average type game.
Not to me, it doesn't. Not to a lot of people, it doesn't. Maybe you think so. I make a lot of money, but $40 is still $40. I don't want to throw away $40 on something that's mediocre, something that's average, something that's just okay. Based on these reviews, I would be squandering $40 if I spent it on ReCore. Especially consider there are other games that have a lot more work and effort put into them that are of the same price that I could also spend money on.
I'm going to do a review on it. You know, hopefully I'm hoping that it turns out to be pretty good. I'm excited about it. You know, I think so far it looks good to me. I think that, you know, it's right up my alley. I like the Metroid series. I think that I like the aspect of what they're going with the story. I like the characters. I like all that stuff. So I'm just really excited to actually jump in and start playing it.
So you see, you've doomed yourself. You have doomed yourself with this video. You have already committed to your answer. You have already decided that your review will be positive for ReCore. You have bashed reviewers for giving it less than stellar reviews. You spent this video saying the media bias is the reason that this game has not been reviewed well. You have committed to giving this game a good review, because if you do not, it will make you a massive hypocrite. If you do not give this game a very positive review, people will point at you and they'll say, obviously, well, how come they're biased against Microsoft products if they don't like it, but if you do it, it's different? The only way that you can make that review without coming across as a hypocritical fool is if you review it very well, and then say, well, that's my subjective opinion, turns out it is just A-okay. If you make a review for this game, and it is very good, and you say that you honestly did enjoy it, obviously, I can't say with certainty that you're lying. However, in the words of my Nigerian coworker, Theo, it doesn't look good.
I just thought that I would complain a little bit and say, hey, you know what, don't be surprised by the scores, because the media is the media at the end of the day.
Yeah, because there's this massive, unspoken conspiracy against Microsoft games.
We knew that this was coming. I didn't expect super great scores. I was hoping beyond hope. You know, I will go on record to say that I expect really good scores for Forza Horizon 3, but with ReCore, I wasn't expecting much. You know, I was expecting somewhere in between, you know, 70, 75, something along those lines. So,
I was expecting a 70, but it got a 62, so obviously there is a media plot against Microsoft. You really are just the joke of the Xbox community, aren't you?
and it could still get there. You know, it's a little bit unfortunate that Microsoft has had problems with scores and things like that as far as their new exclusives are concerned. So let me know what you guys think. Are you picking up ReCore?
I think you're an idiot, and I'm not picking up ReCore. I'm instead going to, I don't know, save that $40 on Space Hulk Deathwing. I'm not going to pre-order it, because I'm not stupid, and I'm not going to expect it to get stellar reviews, and I'm not going to act like it's going to be the salvation of gaming. I'm going to wait and see what the reviews say. And I'm not going to act like there's some sort of plot against Warhammer 40k in the media. I mean, a lot of Warhammer 40k games get really reviews. That doesn't mean that there's a media bias against Warhammer 40k games. Oh, I mean, obviously there is.
Sound off, comment, rate, subscribe. Hit me up on Twitter @_Crapgamer or Xbox Live MOH Space Crapgamer. And as always, rack 'em up, keep it Xbox.
Why? Serious question. A serious, very legitimate question. I'm not being rhetorical. Keep it Xbox, why? What if Xbox does something incredibly anti-consumer, anti-gamer? What if they pull some sort of a ridiculous bullshit microtransaction deal, or if they do something with a game that doesn't benefit gamers? What if they try to screw you over or cheat you, or what if they lie to you? Keep it Xbox, why? What loyalty should you show to a piece of plastic? What loyalty should you show to Microsoft? Legitimately, ask yourself this. If you are from Crapgamer, if you subscribe to him, if you are for some reason deficient enough of your mental faculties to where you support him and trust the things he says, and he's your boy, ask yourself, honestly, ask yourself, why should I keep it Xbox? What if instead of keeping it Xbox, maybe I investigate other platforms that treat me as a consumer better and give me better options? Plus, you don't have to deal with all the media bias, right?
Crapgamer out.
Oh, one more thing. I was going to end the video and go have a wank, but a lot of people have probably been thinking about this as the video rolls on. I have rambled a bit. It happens. I'm working on it. I'm not. If there is a media bias against Microsoft, it's pro-Sony. So how do you explain the identical reviews for The Order 1886? 63 out of 100, 94 critic rating, 6.6 out of 10 user score, 3,100 user ratings. I know it's Metacritic, it's not perfect, but after 3,100 ratings, I think we can balance things out a bit here. It's something to be said about that. Flagship title for the PlayStation 4, it is a Sony PlayStation 4 exclusive, exact same score as ReCore. Where's the Microsoft bias? Or does it only pop up when it is convenient? Just like how sales only matter when they're convenient. Teraflops only matter when they're convenient. That's the thing with you, crap. That's the thing with all of you fanboys. It only matters when it matters. It's only a big deal when it's in your favor. But when it's not in your favor, it's a plot. It's a lie. It's bias. It's misrepresentation. You know, I would be willing to believe you, crap. I would be willing to believe the media is somehow biased against Microsoft games if you could prove it to me. If you could give me evidence for it. But until that time, I do not believe it. It is a claim without a foundation. It is not even worthy of the entertainment of my mind.